What is going on, Ram fans? A crazy win up in Seattle, overtime win, Rams 26, Seahawks 20. And man, I got Ian and Paul on board. We have a lot to talk about, and I don't know how we're going to get through this in any kind of constructive, structured way because there's just too much going on in this game. Hey, so Ian, where were you? Where'd you watch the game at? Were you at home today?
Holy crap. I was able to get the last little bit at home. In my business, there's a lot of farmers market stuff going on, prepackaged Mexican foods. So, long story short, I got home sooner than normal with the winds being insanity out here in LA today, which is, not a bad thing, but good day of business. No need to stick around. All our goods got sold out. So, I was like, I'm going to get home ASAP and watch this game on my big 85 inch. So, I did. I got home a little after halftime, a little sooner than normal. So I was just, glued like a magnet seeing this insane game unfold. It was a bunch of yay, and then shit. And then yeah, and then like, oh, I can't believe that just happened. And I mean, if this is not game of the year, I mean, who said that? Did you say that earlier, Mark, in our little
Yeah, I
group chat? No,
texted
that was
that to
you,
you.
right? I
Right.
agree. I mean, there'll probably be others that happen, but in terms of just the dramatization that unfolded for the whole world to see, right? Because I think at a certain point in the game, you heard the broadcast crew, Vilma and whoever was doing play-by-play, excuse me for not remembering his name at the moment. They said, hey, welcome everybody who was watching this game, and this game. Hey, Rams Seahawks is a nail biter right now. And they usually do that when they want other games that are pretty much over. They want, to say, hey, oh, check out this really good game that's coming down to the wire. So not only did, the Pacific Northwest and the West Coast in general watch this game, I mean, a lot of people saw the drama at the end, and holy crap, that was, I mean, there was moments where I was like, we screwed this thing up. We're toast. We've screwed it up. And they were like, oh, we're alive. And I'm just happy we won at the end of the day, I guess.
Yeah, I keep track, the way I operate for the podcast and the show is try to keep track of my fearsome four big plays of the game. And as I was doing that in this game, I was lining them out and adding new ones. And at one point, I just gave up. I said, I'm just going to have to kick back and enjoy this game, and I'll figure it out later. There were probably 12 plays that would typically be game changers, game deciders, key moments in this game, and it was just crazy. Paul, so did you enjoy this game, or did you find it pretty stressful?
No, I think it was definitely an enjoyable game. It was just not a very meticulously well played game, but it's a great game, and the Rams desperately needed that W. And first thing, shout out to the world champs, Los Angeles Dodgers. Way to get it done, baby. That's the way to get it done. And the way Fire Walker just shut it down, dude, legendary, epic. Got to sign that, man. But having said that, this was very a Dodger-esque win for the Rams, man. They came out of nowhere to get the dubs. But there were a lot of positives from this game. Definitely a lot of stuff that needs to be addressed, but there were a ton of positives. And shout out to Omar, way to run downhill on that tackle, baby. That's what we've been talking about. That's how we do it at linebacker.
Yeah, one of the biggest takeaways for me, just looking back at this game, it's been over for about an hour and a half, is this defense. They had some breakdowns. It was very disappointing what happened on that final game-tying drive with our secondary, with Witherspoon, D. Will dropping an interception. But other than that, this defense is really developing a personality. I mean, geez, this front group: Byron Young, Jared Verse, Braden Fisk, big breakout game, and then on the back end, Kam Kinchens. Now, maybe one of you guys can explain how this works. The way Vilma explained it was when Josh Wallace got hurt, they moved Quentin Lake up to play more of a nickel back position role. And then Kam Kinchens off the bench. Is that what happened, Ian? And then he has two big plays.
Yeah. And I was getting a little excited there, Paul. I was like, yeah, the last couple months of Rams and Dodger sports have just aged me severely. So I was just like, yes, it's been a fun week, but before then it was a lot of stress. But to your point, Mark, about Cameron Kitchens here, We'll share this fun little stat for everybody. So safety Kam Kinchens, 103-yard interception return for a touchdown is the longest in team history. Rams history, everybody. Crazy. It is also tied for the fourth longest in the history of the NFL and is the longest return in the league since Marcus May in Week 5 of 2018 versus the Denver when he had 104. It is also the longest interception return by a rookie in the Super Bowl era. Holy crap. And guys, let's be real about this. I'll be real about it. I'll call myself. I have not been a Kam Kinchens fan at all. Not been a fan at all. Simply because there's been so many times when we looked at film, everybody, where he was just in the wrong spot. He was committing a penalty. He had a really, really terrible game against the Bears, which got him benched. Let's just call it what it is. And they were like, okay, we need to figure out who else we can get on the field. They're like, hey, Quinn Lake, you're doing good at star, but we really need you at safety. And then, Wallace and McCullough came into their own, and they were part of that dime package that has worked out well. And hopefully Wallace is okay. I know he got carted off early. That's no bueno. But I'm happy for Kinchens. I mean, the pick six we just went to the stat was insane, but also for him to come up with another red zone INT. Gentlemen, Rams Nation, I mean, that dude saved the game. Now, we can point to other plays, and we'll get to those guys and what they did, but without those two game-changing red zone interceptions that Kinchens got for us, I mean, there's no way we win this ball game. And salute to you, man. I was not a fan of your game the way you've played, but today, party hard, enjoy it, and I tip my imaginary cap to the rookie there for saving the day, keeping the season alive, keeping winning the West alive. Holy crap!
Yeah,
that was,
I think we had
sick.
Yeah, we talked about him a few weeks ago when we graded the Rams draft picks, and I think we called him out as the most disappointing pick of the 2024 draft for our Rams. And then this game, I'm feeling a little bit different about him. It's just two plays, but man. So, Paul, was there any unit here that especially impressed you aside from the front guys on the defense? Demarcus Robinson, and let me share this with you. I wanted to share this. Maybe we should talk about this. I was trying to talk about the big plays of this game. And, one thing that, I actually had to go over and watch this game with my special assistant. The game was not on my local station, which really surprised me. They went to the game of the week, the Lions-Packers, and oops. So, and he said, that catch by Tyler Johnson, that 24-yard pass to Tyler Johnson in overtime, a small play, but key play. And then this is a list of the big plays that I listed real quickly that really resulted in the Rams win. But what do you got to say, Paul? Is there anything that you want to speak to as far as this, or any units you want to call out for good play or poor play?
Yeah, so the wide receiver unit, I think, played very well today. Even though the Rams offense, really, if you think about it, the Rams generated 3 INTs. They had 7 sacks, and the Seattle Seahawks were flagged for 12 penalties. So the offense had to do a lot to keep the Seahawks in this game. Right, which is basically not score points if you really think about it. But I thought the wide receiver unit really stepped up. I mean, Puka's a huge loss. To lose that and still be able to move the ball downfield in clutch situations, I thought that was huge. I love that Tyler Johnson catch. Came out of nowhere. Like I said, he's like a tight end out there. He's just like a mini tight end. But he played. That was a clutch grab. Cooper Clutch was Cooper Clutch. That was awesome. Just to watch him back, and he's just going to get better. And that, I think, the chemistry between Staff and he is just going to improve. The timing is just going to improve. They were a little out of sync, but that goes with the territory. He's working his way back. So I just think the wide receiver unit, deserves a shout out when you lose like one of your top players mid game like that. That was a huge loss.
What did you think about the penalty on the ejection? Do you think? I thought it was an overreaction by the refs.
I think it's an odd penalty, not just for this scenario, just in general. To call, I understand what the NFL is trying to do, but they have to stop and really think what they're saying. You are penalizing a player saying that in a game of football, right, where they are running around and you're, spearing each other and doing all these things, and then They're wearing equipment, and you're throwing a player out for punching somebody who's wearing a helmet. I just want
And
to stop and think.
it was like a soft little jab,
And you
right?
don't eject a player for spearing a defensive
Yeah,
player.
right. They pick up the flag on that one. I do not understand.
Yeah, so that's
I can tell
odd rule.
Ian's chomping at the bit to say something about this penalty.
Yeah,
The
Rams
ejection.
Nation, gentlemen, that was whack as hell. Let's just call it what it is. Everything we just said right now, you just said, Paul, and then Mark. I mean, we've seen way worse, and nothing happened. And you can argue that it was more of a shove than like a fu punch, right? So that was pretty whack. But I will say this, and you called it out, Paul, when we were all talking, during the Puka's time playing in the game. I mean, he's not healthy. It's very clear that he's not 100%. And you did say, Paul, to me that, hey, that jump ball to a receiver who doesn't have a knee ready to go, that probably wasn't the smartest thing to do. And I agree with that, too. So credit to you for pointing that out. And, we did enough to get him feeling okay with the W, right? Because if he would have left and would have lost, he would be like, oh, my God, I hate myself for not being out there in the field and giving my team a chance to win with my play. But we did enough to win. So Puka, if anyone happens to listen to it, of this episode here, this reaction, and this gets word to him, it's all right, man. Learn from him, and we'll see you on Monday night to tear up the Dolphins defense, hopefully with the knee feeling a little bit better. So it was a whack call. We've seen worse. I think a lot of NFL pundits and reactors and analysts kind of all agreed, if you saw their reactions on X, Twitter, and other spots, they were like, that was weak. And I think everyone kind of agrees with that. But again, it's always the second dude getting caught, right? It's never the first guy making the first shove. That's since you were 6 years old, everybody. Always the second guy getting caught, whether it be you and your siblings, you on the football field, you in sports. It just seems to lay out that way. So that was pretty whack, I think, Mark, Paul, Rams Nation.
Yeah, and I did not understand picking up the flag. They throw the flag on the spearing play, and why would they pick it up? Made absolutely no sense. And there were some other bad calls. I think the refs generally had a bad day. I think the late hit on Stafford was a little lame as well. We kind of benefited from that one. So they screwed up for both sides equally, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And real quick, gentlemen, think about the one with Akello Witherspoon that happened when they just got their feet tangled up and it was clear and obvious. So real quick, everybody, pass interference. If you as a defender are playing the football, trying to make a play on a hands, intercepted, and are not facing the receiver, you're looking at the ball and things happen, you should be okay as long as you're not holding and maybe swatting at somebody's arm insanely, whatever, all that. They collided feet. The replays caught it. And I think when they took away the ability to challenge defensive pass interference or pass interference in general, I said, okay, we need some type of system out in the booth, out in New York, wherever the headquarters are, to be able to look back at these things and say, hey, that was not a PI. Or let's be honest, the Vikings game last week where Byron Young got Sam Darnold, to say, hey, that was the wrong call. Let's wipe that clean. Or, hey, that should have been, let's add that in. I'm all in favor of things being egregious and obvious for them to flip-flop it. And I think that scenario we saw today was yet another in 2 Rams games where it's like, hey, let's get replay. They're assisting a bunch. Let's get the correct calls right, because that one was a bogus PI call on Akello there. That was whack as hell.
Yeah, and you're right. They can't get any help. Game-changing play, and that could have led to a Rams loss. That was horrible.
Yeah.
Share some team stats, some stats across this game for you while we talk. What happened to our running game today? It seems like Kyren. This is a Seahawks run defense that came in giving up 148 yards per game, and it was not a good day for Kyren in the run game. And that was really surprising. I think his 3 biggest runs were called back for holding calls. So that was something that really surprised me.
Yeah. I mean, look at, gentlemen, we always say on here, can we get him 25 carries or 25 overall touches? So he finished with 22 carries and 1 catch. So that's short of the 25 overall touches that we want for him to get for this team to have success. So 69 yards, 3.1 yards per carry. I mean, we got to credit Seattle's defense a little bit, I think. There were some good things they were doing, loading the box. Leonard Williams and Murphy were having their way with Dedich and Miller, Bo Limmer, excuse me, sometimes. But I still think he should have got the ball more. There were some situations late in the game where we went for the deep passes where I was like, dang, dude, I really hope they maybe run a draw because Kyron's pretty good at the draw run play. Fake the pass, hand it off real quick. So we survived. But I will say this about the run game, though, and about just the offense in general real quick. I'm pretty harsh on McVay and this offensive staff. I am proud of him and the staff for sticking with the 12 personnel and then deploying some 13 a bunch in this game. We said it a bunch. They have to be more multiple to formations that have more success. So now that's 2 games in a row. We've seen them deploy 12 and 13 a decent, good amount of times. I'll look at the film and I'll get that exact, snap count and the percentage overall. But it was much better, and I'm happy they're doing that. And that needs to continue. And I think that was a big, big, big plus for McVay and the offensive staff for not bailing back to 11 personnel like we've seen them do all these years. He's been our coach and our coordinator and play caller. So that I'll give them that at least,
Hey, you guys wanted to talk about the contributions of, mainly Omar Spates. He had a real big play, huh, Paul?
Yeah, that was the play of the game. That was the play of the game, right? It saved them on defense. But on that play, if you watch it, I mean, the entire D line just walked back the Seattle O line. I mean, every player came off the ball. Every player got penetration. Every player just flowed down the line of scrimmage. And that's exactly what you want to do. You want to string it out, and let your linebacker do the read. Read correctly, came right downhill. Boom. That's exactly what you want. Wrap up. The Rams are not a great tackling team. And it was you saw it today. It was just horrendous. They're ankle tacklers. I don't know why that is. The entire team just loves to lunge at ankles. But when you have a linebacker that's willing to throw the body around, it's going to make a huge difference. He was only credited with 1 tackle for the entire game, right? He didn't get many snaps, but the one that he made, was the one you needed, right? Boom played a good game. Boom played a solid game as well. And that look with Boom and another safety, whether it's McCullough, Lake, they had Curl down there once in a while. I think that's a really nice look for the Rams. And if they can get Spates out there, I mean, it's going to make a huge difference. They're a much faster defense when Boom and Spates and one of the safeties are out there, one of the D-backs are out there in that look. It's just, you can just see it. They do a much better job of covering the field. But, it was a great stop. Shout out to the D-line. That's exactly how you stuff the run. They did a great job. And if you watch the play, you just see all the Ram helmets fire out in unison and just reestablish the line of scrimmage. That's what we've been waiting for, because Detroit has shown the blueprint to the entire NFL, right? Get them tired in the second half, run it right in between the tackles, and the Rams have to be aware that everybody has seen it. That's what they're going to try to do. We were very fortunate Seattle kept trying to mix in the pass, because if they had stuck with the run, we might have had an issue there. But great stop by the Rams, D. Huge stop.
Hey, Ian, I know you want to talk about our guy, Matthew Stafford.
Oh, that's a nice lead you have there. It'd be a shame if somebody made a comeback. And for everyone that's listening in, there's a meme we have we're sharing right now on the screen. And shout out to everyone listening on a podcast. And then if you can, check out the YouTube page and you can see what we're talking about right here. This meme of Matthew Stafford. Dude is one of the comeback kings of the NFL, everybody. There's always a chance when you have an elite quarterback, but not every elite quarterback is good at playing under pressure, playing his best when it's required, right? Sean McVay always says, when our best players need to step up, we need their best. And he said it in other ways. That's just the one I can remember right now, but he would epitomize that today. I mean, guys, with his game-winning touchdown pass in overtime, Matthew Stafford tied Matt Ryan with 46 for the 6th most game-winning drives in the history of the NFL. Fan-freaking-tastic. Optimus 9 is his name on here. I'll call him Glock 9 every now and then when he does the pistol back in the gun holster celebration, which I was hoping he would kind of do on that last play. That would have been sick. But dude is an elite quarterback. You give him time to dissect, he'll find you. Did he make some passes that were kind of uh-oh? But that's the gunslinger mentality. You're going to get more good than bad most days. And thank God he's our quarterback, because I don't know any other guys out in the NFL, maybe other than 2 or 3, maybe, that could have pulled that off, been cool, and thrown laser beams on that final drive and thrown laser beams the majority of this game. So salute to you, Matthew Stafford, climbing up the history books. And he wants that gold jacket, he said, right after last season. Keeps doing stuff like this and keeps winning big games. I mean, his resume will keep stacking up and it'll be harder and harder for the ballot, that committee, to say no to him. Kudos to the Glock 9, Optimus 9, Matthew Stafford.
Now, Kyron Williams' touchdown streak ended. Demarcus Robinson, he has something going on though, huh? 4 touchdowns in the last 2 games. Wow. What a just adds another dimension to this offense that, clearly Matthew Stafford has no, I thought that ball was going to be intercepted at first in the end zone. Comes down with an incredible catch. So Demarcus Robinson establishing himself. I'm wondering if I should pick him up for my fantasy team at this, if he's even available.
Definitely.
But
probably. Yeah, Rams Nation. See, he's on the waiver wire for cheap. Maybe not after today and last week, but if you're doing the waiver wire budget, put a little more cash on there. If you're doing old school waiver priority based on your record, you just better hope somebody else doesn't claim him. But he's worth grabbing now. And for everyone, real quick, it was always like, what's up with D-Rob? I mean, teams were shading a lot of coverage to him. We've talked about it before, but for him to be the third guy in this offense, right? I mean, that's where he can eat on other corners. But ironically, you little crap talker, Reek Woolen, you were having yourself a little fun afternoon at first until that bombarded your day and ended your game-winning, supposed day that you were having. And we talked about him, right, gentlemen, in the round table, the keys of the victory and the keys of the game. We had to watch out for him. He was a player who gets his hands on the football, and he obviously had an interception earlier. He's a big, lengthy corner, but I'm happy it was on him. That's karma for you right there.
and he was the one waiting for the pass that Tyler Johnson snagged too, as well, right?
Oh, shout out to Johnson, man, for just following through. I mean, I was nervous at that moment as well, so could have had it, but he waited there. He could have attacked forward. He would have snagged it, no doubt about it. So,
yeah. And Kam Kinchens, he may be Defensive Player of the Week this week. Very well could be.
I think so. I think so. And while we're on the topic of just shouting at players, I think this is a good stat. I mean, shout out to Cooper Kupp. He keeps making history as well, and we'll just share this real fast. Wide receiver Cooper Kupp becomes the 5th player in NFL history to record at least 600 receptions in his first 100 career games. Pretty good. Joining Keenan Allen, who's a catch machine, obviously now he's with the Bears. Antonio Brown, who's a borderline Hall of Famer, just, because, he does a lot of dumb stuff. Julio Jones, who's a borderline Hall of Famer at this moment. And Anquan Bolden, who was a baller as well. And he also passed Marvin Harrison Sr., the Hall of Famer, for the 5th most receptions by a player through their first 100 games. So Cooper Kupp had a weirdly quiet 11 catches for 104 today. I mean, there's a lot of not like these mega plays going on, but he had to that was 9 yards. Oh, that was 8 yards. Oh, that was 10 yards. And clutch for him. Glad that, his body is feeling good at this moment. And those 11 catches for, 9.5 yards a catch, that was clutch. And another 100-yard game for him, and also making history. Just want to shout him out real quick for leading up the stat boards.
So we're not going to be able to talk again before the trade deadline. And we're playing the Dolphins in 8 days, Monday night game coming up. The Dolphins could be a team that's in the seller's market right now, by the way. So you guys thinking the Rams are going to make a move in the next day or so? I know, Paul, you probably think they will, right?
Yeah, I think if you really want to make a run, you should try to make your team better. Now, I think the backstory is you got 3 major injuries right now. So the Havenstein monster, right? That didn't look too good, lower leg. You had Wallace, lower leg. Um, and then you have, obviously, we don't know what the situation is with Nopum. So that you might even see an O-line move, right? So it's very, very possible. We don't have the inside info. The Rams do. So, I mean, I definitely think that the Rams should definitely look at addressing either. I mean, to me, I think the easiest fix is always interior D-line because those players are plentiful and they're undervalued around the league. So they're always great because they're generally not 3-down players. So if you can get somebody that can really, like I said, when you take a look at what's out there, the guy from Cleveland, to me, Dalvin Thompson, just makes a lot of sense, right? The other part of it is like if Omar Spates, how much confidence they have in him, and if they're not going to make a linebacker move, I think that you have to try to work him into the mix. But the O-line situation now really, really is scary. So hopefully it's not a major injury. Hopefully Nopum is back soon. Hopefully Avila and Jackson are back soon. But, the tackle situation for the Rams is always going to be, 3 players. So when you even one injury there, that puts them in a really tough situation. So
Yeah,
I definitely think there's going to be a move. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, what about you, Mark?
Pardon?
Yeah, do you think they're pulling the trigger on somebody? The Rams?
Well, so what I think is, well, first of all, I thought Joseph Nopum may have been on the trading block himself before this, because my special assistant had heard a rumor somewhere, perhaps on Twitter, that he was actually good to go, but they're holding him back, perhaps because of that, because they were going to move him. And it makes sense to move him. He's on the last year of his contract. He's making a lot of money. He's not contributing. Now, yeah, so maybe that changes that. And unfortunately, the guys are getting back, Avila and Jonah Jackson. We're just going to be too deep on the interior and really thin at the tackle positions. So, it's a bit of a dilemma, but hopefully we'll get good news on Havenstein. And as far as the kind of flexing to the safety position, being concerned about Josh Wallace, as well as Kam Kinchens played at the safety position, I think when John Johnson comes back, he's going to be plugged back in there and we'll be okay. But suddenly the tackle position, defensive line, and like you said, Paul, maybe Spates is the answer, so they don't make a move at the linebacker position. Your thoughts, Ian?
Yeah, I mean, we got to look at the teams who are possible sellers, though, right? I mean, we can't just be like, oh, let's get this guy from, the Ravens. I mean, let's be realistic here. So the Browns are 2-7. They have a lot of good players on defense. I mean, Paul, you always shout out those guys over there, and that makes a ton of sense. Very possible. We'll see what happens. We have the Jaguars at 2-7. Are they offloading anybody? I mean, no one comes to my brain at the moment, but they're a possibility, right? Tennessee, they're already sending out a lot of players. Ernest Jones to the Seahawks. They've sent other people elsewhere. Is there anybody of value that they're willing to part with? And then we have, the Raiders. You have the Patriots, which probably not. And then the National Conference, right? Do the Giants want to bail on anybody? Do the Panthers or Saints want to bail on anybody, right? You hear rumors of them. So it's going to be the teams that are really out of it with 2 wins, basically. And keep an eye on them. I think if the trade is right for the Rams, right, the pick isn't super high, because I think they realize the window that they're in. They're getting wins. They're a good team, but it's like, do we go heavy all in? And McVay has mentioned this in his last week's press conference, where it's like, hey, we had a unique situation with Floyd being really good, Donald being really good. Oh, Von Miller is available? No problem. Give them what they want for him. So I don't know if we're in that situation at the moment, right? 4-4, but we are trending in a good direction. I think the draft capital has got to be the right thing. Can't be something insane for somebody who maybe isn't a future Hall of Fame player like a Miller, like a Ramsey, or whoever else you want to throw out there, Stafford and Esk. So it's possible, but guys have to be available. People always think, make a trade. But if no one's available to trade for, then a trade cannot happen. So I'm hopeful. Hopefully we can upgrade on that D-line. You've been shouting out the Browns a bunch, Paul, and I'm hopeful. But am I expecting it? I don't know. We'll see what happens by today. See if people get benched. People, organizations meet together, right? Ownership has meetings with coaches who aren't doing well, with management or front office management that things aren't going right. And then by Monday, we'll have a lot of idea of which teams are out for the season and who can we get to acquire more talent.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I think they're going to be a little conservative, but if there's a sensible trade, give up a fifth round pick for a guy that's going to come in and really contribute, then we might see that. But man, this win, this was one of the more entertaining games I have watched, one of the more stressful games. And I talked about it all week long. I don't know if you guys heard me, but it's the Seahawks. Some strange stuff's going to happen, and it certainly did. There was a lot of strange stuff, but man, we survived, and we're 4-4, and things are looking
Crazy.
up. Yeah, and the Dolphins, it could typically be a trap game, coming off in a big emotional win like this against a divisional opponent. But maybe it's a good thing it's
Absolutely.
Monday. Maybe it's a good thing it's a Monday night football game though, because teams tend to get up for Monday night football games, and Miami's got to fly across 3 time zones to play us.
hmm
So haven't looked at the odds yet. Should be interesting.
And that too, real quick to your point about them playing on Monday. I mean, the Rams will have a full scope of like, oh, what happened with the 49ers? What happened with the Cardinals who are currently in first place? What happened with the Seahawks on Sunday, right? So they'll have an idea of like, all right, we get our act together and we get a win like we're supposed to, which I'm not saying is going to be easy. Dolphins have a lot of talented players, but they'll have a picture of what's at stake based on what happens with all our other NFC West rivals. So they'll know going into Monday, like, all right, we win this game, we can be in first. Or we win this game, we're still tied at the top. So I think that has some added value to like the weight of this game, saying, hey, 2-6, this team's still good. Let's take care of business and get another home victory on prime time so the world can fear us for what we really are, even without a full strength squad. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, the early odds I'm seeing right now is Rams 2.5 point favorites, which surprised me. I thought it might be a little bit closer because I think Tua and Tyreek Hill are going to give this Rams defense some issues, but
Oh yeah.
we'll see. I haven't researched their defense, how if the Rams will be able to move the ball on the ground, that type of thing. But we'll talk about that in our roundtable.
Mhm.
We'll get into that real deep, probably Wednesday night.
Yeah.
Well, how we feeling now? We're ready. We're ready to move on. What a crazy game that was! That game felt like as I was watching it with my special assistant, he kind of said, I felt like I've just watched 4 games." Yeah, it was 4 games in one. It was just crazy. But
Yeah.
good times.
Like I said earlier, LA sports has aged me the last month and a half severely. And
Yeah.
that's okay. As long as you win, then an extra gray hair or two will be fine for now.
Oh yeah. Fun game. Fun times when you win. If we had ended up losing that, I would have been
Oh, it would have been
laying
sad.
in bed thinking about that Darius Williams, and he had a great game. Love the guy.
Yeah, he
That
locked down Tyler
intercept.
Lockett good.
Yeah, catch that interception that should have been an interception. Oh man,
Dude, I
game's
know.
over. And of course, my special assistant looked at me and he said, "You know what happens when you drop those, right? You know what happens after that?" It's like, "No, please." And he was right.
It's true
But
though. I mean,
yeah, pulled it
we
out.
survived. We survived.
Right.
Glock 9 saved us. The
Yeah.
comeback king, the current comeback king that's
And,
active. Jeez.
and it was really, I don't know if special teams really had that big of a contribution, but it was really complimentary football, a defense, final stand, and the offense went and got the W. What more can you ask for?
Yeah,
Any
and the
final?
difference is these close games in probably a couple of weeks ago probably would have gone the other direction. So now they're winning the close games. They're not they're keeping themselves in games. We're still not seeing the separation, right? That's going to be McVay's every press conference. He wants separation. He wants to get it to 2 scores and then push the envelope. But they're letting teams hang around. But at least they're making enough plays to come out on the winning side, which is a very different trend than earlier in the year. So I think that's a big deal.
Yeah, and I should have mentioned, the last 51 seconds of the first half, were as disastrous as it gets, right? And they bounced back. How down were we? I feel like it felt like the Bears game. I feel like we're the better team. Why aren't we winning this game? And 51 seconds, and we give up. We lose one of our best players and give up a touchdown going the other way. It was really bad.
Do you think Chris Shula's opening slide in the film study will be, okay, this is the rule for offside. Let's all take a look together as a team. All right. This is what happens. Because even Vilman said it.
I'm like, please.
He says the defensive secondary of the Rams does not understand the offside rule.
Well, I mean, they got to know that rule, right? It's just a real-time brain fart. It has to be. I certainly hope so.
4 times?
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. Any final thoughts, Ian?
Rams win, baby. That's all. Survive another weekend. That's all we can ask for. Stay afloat, keep winning, and keep vying to win the West. And we've said it. I think 10 wins gets it done. So, hey, we're not that far away from that now. Like we thought we were not that long ago with us being 1 win and doom and gloom. So, gotta get healthier. No one throwing punches. And let's have good game plans by the offense, and we'll have a chance to win many, many ball games coming up and for the foreseeable future. So that's my final thoughts, gentlemen. Shoot.
Fingers crossed, no season-ending injuries after today. Hopefully those injuries are not going to be season-ending. We'll have Havenstein Monster back, right? And everybody else back really, really soon.
Okay, guys. Thanks a lot for joining. We'll get together. We'll plan on Wednesday. We'll have some final thoughts on this one, give out some game balls, all that good stuff, and talk Miami Dolphins. Monday Night Football next week.
That's right.
Okay, guys.
I love LA at SoFi after every Rams win. Channel that Dodger energy. Play Randy Newman after every Ram win.
Hey, I was there at the Thursday game. They did play that after, so they're on board.
There you go.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah,
they have a cycle of LA songs they go through, and that was one of them for sure.
Yeah, they have some. There's a Red Hot Chili Peppers California song, right? That's got to be on the playlist.
Absolutely.
And, man, that I love LA. 1980 Olympics, was it 80 or 84? Man, I got a little bit worn out on that song, to be honest with you. But good times. We'll hear it. We'll be hearing it a lot again in the next Olympics, I'm sure. And the LA Olympics. Okay, guys, thanks a lot. Out here from Rams Up. Rams are 4-4, and I believe they're in second place, right? Second place by themselves. Unfortunately, the Bears couldn't get it done, but all is good in Rams world. Started to make a real playoff push moving forward. Thanks a lot, guys.
Rams are rising, baby. Rams are rising. Keep the faith, Ram Nation. Keep the faith.
Good things happen when you run the ball. Hey.